It's a great pleasure for us to be back in contact with Fairleigh Dickinson University, along with all the accompanying universities, Lockhaven, Roger Williams, Montclair, and of course Fairleigh Dickinson, both at TNEC and at Madison. It's an even greater pleasure for me to have on this topical subject of children's rights a most distinguished panelist, Ambassador Loayza-Barea from Bolivia, who is the president of the executive board of UNICEF. But he's much more than just that, because he has served in this senior capacity in Washington, in London, in Geneva, in New York, which makes him a very lucky and a very accomplished diplomat. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I turn it over to Madison, to Madhu, to give us a quick uptake on what are your expectations from this video session. Over to you at Madison.
Thank you. I'm Madhu Rao. I'm the United Nations Coordinator for Fairleigh Dickinson University. I'm based in Madison. I'm delighted, Ambassador Kamal, that you and Ambassador Loayza-Barea are able to join us today to give us your thoughts on children's rights, and we're looking forward to hearing about what is going on in the field in children's rights in terms of child labor, child soldiers, Ambassador Barea, about your work with UNICEF, and we're looking forward to an exciting discussion. I want to just welcome our three partnering sites, Lockhaven University, Roger Williams University, and Montclair High School. I'm glad you could join us, and also TNEC and the students here at Madison. Just to remind everyone of the format, once our panel discusses the topic for about a half hour, maybe a little bit more, we will go to each site, starting with the external sites, and then TNEC, Fairleigh Dickinson, and then Madison, Fairleigh Dickinson campus, and students will have a chance to ask 2 questions each at each site, and the panel will have a chance to reply and to answer those questions before we move on to the next site. If we have time, we would do that circle over again. And that's it. Without any further delay, Ambassador Kamal, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. With your permission and with the permission of Ambassador Loayza-Barea, I'm going to lead into the subject myself. The rights of children is amazing in the manner in which it has been forgotten and been undertreated over history. It's almost akin to the way in which we have been treating women in the world. Half of the population of the world is women, and yet it is only in recent decades that we have managed to really focus on the problem of women and on gender equality. The same is true of children. A large percentage of the population of the world is children, and in fact it's a growing percentage, because the world, as you know, in developing countries in particular, there is a youthfulization. Populations are getting younger and younger. There are many countries now where half the population is under the age of 20. And that means that people are getting younger. And the younger people, the children, are not getting all that they deserve in terms of possibilities, in terms of potential, in terms of education, etc. Please don't forget that the great developments in the world have been done not by people in their 50s and 60s, as the two of us here, but by people in their 20s. And so the rights of youth and the rights of the child are absolutely fundamental. I have told many of you at times that there's a young girl of 18 called Joan of Arc who becomes the commander-in-chief of the French forces and defeats the British Army. There's another young girl called Cleopatra, who becomes the pharaoh of Egypt at 18, and is one of the wisest women in her understanding of the geopolitics of the Eastern Mediterranean. We know the young age at which Alexander had conquered half the world, or Chopin had written all his music. And so youth and children are important. Now, it has, despite that obvious fact, it took the United Nations years before it opened up to the concept of the rights of the child. The treaty is not old. It's less than, 17 years old. And I really don't know what it has done, because I know that some important countries, including one that we shall not name out of politeness for the soil on which we stand, has not signed on to that treaty. And so the question that I would like to ask Ambassador Loayza-Barea is, firstly, why is it that children are being mistreated in this fashion by not being given due importance? Number two, what is the potential of the work that is being done, both in UNICEF and in the rights of the child? And are we measuring up to potential? In other words, are children in the world better off today than they were 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago? And how can we improve this performance in order to be conscious of the fact that the future of the world does not depend neither on Ambassador Loayza-Barea nor on me, but on people who are below the age of 20, because it's their world that is going to be the world of tomorrow. So these are the questions on which I hope Ambassador Loayza-Barea will be able to walk us through as we go down this session today. You have the floor, sir.
First of all, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you. I can tell you this is the second time in my life that I'm doing this sort of video conference. So I feel under a little bit, I don't know, because I understand you're listening to me. I can see clearly your faces. I hope you can see mine as well. It's okay? Well, Ambassador Kamal, I want to thank you for this kind invitation. The issue of children is definitely is the most important in the international relations field. What I can tell you is I think technology has given a lot of health assistance in order to understand what happened with children all around the world. And because this lack of communication in the past decades it didn't give a possibility in order to know the realities that each country faced with children issues. What I can tell you is that, for instance, in my country, Bolivia, to answer directly your question, is lack of education. I mean, for me, what I realize is education the most important target that we should be put our attention. I just visited with a UNICEF delegation in Peru in the last week, and we realized also that dramatic situation concerning that lack of education is becoming the main task to fulfill in order to look over the rights of the children. What is UNICEF doing about it? First of all, it's important to address to you that UNICEF uses the term of child protection to refer preventing and responding to violence, exploitation, and abuse against children, including commercial sexual exploitation, trafficking, child labor, and harmful traditional practices, such as female genital mutilation, cutting, and child marriages.